Hi everyone, it's Joe Lenton from Original Art Photography here. Sorry I couldn't be with you last week. Had some kind of flu-like virus for a while, which knocked it out of me. But thankfully, I'm on the road to health again now. So thought I'd drop in and say hello. Thank you for those who've been telling us a bit about what their passions and goals are, which we've been thinking about recently. What they want to achieve with their photography, what sort of things they're interested in, what motivates them. Today, I just want to take that one step further and also think about what happens when you get asked to do something that is not your normal type of photography. Now, there are kind of two answers that I'd give to this. If you haven't tried things, it can often be a good idea to do so. You might not know that you're going to like a particular type of photography until you've tried it. A lot of us start out with things like landscape photography because it's kind of safe. The landscape doesn't talk back. It doesn't move, whereas then we might find photographing people quite intimidating. But we might then start doing it and find that we really do enjoy it, and we go on to become portrait photographers, for example. But then there's the other side of it as well, where just because you've got a camera, someone says, will you photograph this for me? Would you photograph my wedding for me? Would you photograph our family event, a baptism, or something along those sorts of lines? And if you've never done that sort of thing before, it can be quite difficult. Those can be quite pressured situations. And you have to ask yourself, is it really going to be worth the stress? Or would you actually rather just be attending the event and enjoying it? I've come across quite a few photographers who've found it quite difficult to know what to do when friends and family have said to them, oh, well, you know, you've got a camera, you take nice photos. Couldn't you just do this for me? I run a small business. Couldn't you just take my business's photos for me? By all means, if this is within your interests, if it's a subject matter that you're very interested in, if it's something you feel you've got the skills for, then absolutely go for it. But don't feel that you can't say no to things. Just because you're the mate with the camera doesn't mean that you have to be the one doing the photography. It might be that actually what you really enjoy doing is landscapes and you don't want to photograph people. You find that difficult or you just don't enjoy it. Well, go with your passion. Remember what we were talking about before is that it's so much easier to put the effort in to improve. It's so much easier to study and get your photography skills up to scratch if you're doing something you're passionate about, because you're spending time working towards something where you've got that interest. You're going to set goals that mean something to you because you're interested. If you suddenly find yourself having to do a load of stuff that you're not really that interested in, things that don't meet with your passion, things that don't sit in with your goals, then you risk actually beginning to fall out of love with your photography a little bit. So whilst on the one hand I'd say sometimes you need to try new things, absolutely, but don't feel that you've got to say yes to everything. As a professional photographer, I certainly don't say yes to everything. I don't do weddings, for example. So, you know, I get inquiries about that. I just simply say no and pass them on where possible to somebody else that I know would do a good job there. It's something now that I don't get asked about so much because people have realised that's not what I do. So there's no point in asking me about that. Similarly, you know, if my passion is largely going to be with making sure that I'm delivering quality lessons, you know, when I'm teaching. So if I get offered to do an event photography the night before I've got a lesson the next morning, again, you know, I'm going to say no because I don't want to limit how well I perform for the lesson. I don't want to be turning up tired, exhausted and not wanting to be there, so I will sometimes turn other work down to make sure that I can be giving the quality to where it's needed. So if you get people sort of saying to you, well, I've seen you take nice photos of some pets or something, would you take a photo of my family? Have a good think about it. You don't have to just jump in and say yes, because all too often as well, people then start getting down the track of, have I got the right equipment? Which lens should I be using? If you don't know that, it's probably best not to bother, because all you're doing is putting stress on yourself. You know, if you're thinking, well, what lens should I be taking? Do I need a flash? I don't know. How much should I be charging? If you're getting too much time worrying about all those things, you're not going to be enjoying it. I'd suggest really focus on where your passions lie and take opportunities that help you to develop that. Sometimes those opportunities can be a bit scary and you need to step outside of your comfort zone in order to move forwards. by all means do that. But don't forget, if you want to get focused, if you want to get really good at particular styles, if you want to keep your passion for your photography and not get fed up with photographing things that you're not that interested in just because you feel you have to, just say no. It's easy enough to do. Pass it on to somebody else. That's one of the great things about knowing a community of photographers. You might know somebody who's passionate about sports photography, someone who's passionate about swimming or racing or something, and you get asked to do a particular event, and you can pass on instead to someone that you know is going to do a great job because they're really passionate about it, instead of you thinking, I suppose I could sit there all afternoon with my camera and take a few pictures. If we want to really make progress and enjoy the hobby, and also if you want to make progress with it as a business, be selective. Don't be afraid to say no, and keep focused on those passions and on those goals. So I wonder if you find it difficult to say no to certain things, and why you perhaps find it difficult to say no. Are you afraid that perhaps you then won't get any other work, or are you afraid of disappointing people? Perhaps let's have a bit of a discussion about this. If you're finding it difficult to say no, or you're not sure when you should say yes or no to things, let's have a little bit of a chat about it and see if we can help one another out a bit with this. Sometimes it might just be a confidence thing, but other times it might be, your emotions are giving you an indication that actually perhaps this isn't for you. Maybe you should say no. So let's have a bit of a conversation about that. Pop some things down in the comments, and thank you very much for watching. Thanks for those who tuned in live, and thank you also for watching the replay.